On behalf of Center for Indian Knowledge Systems of Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, I, Drishti, take great pleasure in welcoming you all to today's panel discussion on Indian Knowledge Systems and the National Education Policy 2020. We are truly honored to be joined today by our distinguished guests, Dr. Shivakumar GV, Director of IQAC Changemakers Indica, and Dr. Avinash Kumar, Deputy Director, ICSSR, New Delhi. We are also joined by Professor Ravindra Kaur, the NEP Coordinator of University of Delhi. Welcome, ma'am. I now request Professor Poonam Sharma, Senior Faculty Member from the Department of Geography, and Dr. Charu Chopra, Assistant Professor, Department of English, our esteemed faculty members of CIKS SBSC family, to kindly welcome our revered guests, Dr. Shiv Kumar GV, with the potted plant and an Angavastra. Since Charu ma'am is not present, let's welcome Dr. Jyoti Varshne, Associate Professor, Department of Mathematics. Thank you. Next, I request Ms. Jyoti Varshne, Associate Professor, Department of Mathematics, and Ms. Mohini Avasti, both valued members of the CIKS SBSC family, to kindly welcome our honorable guest, Dr. Avinash Kumar, with the potted plant and an Angavastra. Thank you. Now I invite Dr. Komal Agarwal, Coordinator of the Center for Indian Knowledge Systems, and Dr. Ranjana Kaur, Assistant Professor in the Department of Commerce, to kindly welcome Professor Ravinder Kaur, NEP Coordinator, University of Delhi, with a potted plant and an Angavastra. Thank you. Now I request Ms. Beena Arya to welcome Ms. Mohini Avasti, our moderator for the session, with a potted plant. Thank you, ma'am. I now invite Dr. Komal Agarwal, Coordinator of CIKS, to share her opening remarks and set the tone for today's discussion.
Hello, good morning everyone, namaste. I will not take much of your time because there's designated amount of speaking to do for everybody. But I just wanted to introduce you all to the Center for Indian Knowledge Systems of the college. So the center was established in January 2023. It was inaugurated by none other than Professor Kapil Kapoor from Jawaharlal Nehru University. In fact, Professor Kapoor is the one who coined the phrase Indian Knowledge Systems long ago when it was not a thing. We've had a couple of events over the past, and I would like to particularly mention one event which actually sort of ties up with the theme today. Last year, in fact actually from October 2023 to April 2024, we ran an undergraduate research competition. This was one of a kind competition where we wanted to promote the twin mandates of the NEP. One, to seek research in Indian knowledge systems. Two, to promote research at the undergraduate level long before anybody was talking about it in the university. So it was a competition spread out over a period of 8 months. We had 5 rounds of competition, and we encouraged interdisciplinarity to, again, another mandate of the NEP, and the student teams were supposed to be guided by a faculty member from their own institution. We received 37 abstracts from all over the country. We shortlisted about 26 abstracts. These 26 underwent 3 rounds of presentations online, where they got guidance from experts from different fields. There was somebody from the Department of Sanskrit, there was somebody from the Department of Environmental Science, because this was a joint initiative of Haritram and Center for Indian Knowledge Systems of the college. So at the end of the 3rd round, we shortlisted 15 teams again from all over the country. We had 5 teams coming in for a final round of presentation from outside Delhi. It was a runaway success. Even before the competition ended, the students who had come from Amravati and Bangalore were asking me, "Ma'am, are we having another round next year, because we would like to participate again?" So the Indian Knowledge Systems of the college has really been trying very hard to introduce the concept of Indian knowledge systems to youngsters like you. We have left no stone unturned, and we are trying to take up different kinds of activities to introduce you to the range of Indian knowledge systems, something that we should all be proud of, hailing as we are from this country. So again, I leave the dais for the speakers, because they are experts in this field and they'll be talking to you much more about this topic. And I really hope you understand and value the tradition that you're coming from, and you become the people who take it ahead. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Professor Poonam Sharma, Senior Faculty Member from the Department of Geography, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Very warm welcome. Sabhi ko namaste. Respected guests on the dais. On behalf of Bhagat Singh College at Center for Indian Knowledge System, this is a wonderful beginning for the new session that we are trying to explore our own roots. And interestingly, I would like to, proudly like to share that our college is really contributing towards it, right? And also congratulations to Dr. Komal for this event. And last year, I remember Ramayana's workshop for 4 days we did?
7 days.
7 days. Huh?
With
Yeah. So, and I also participated, attended that workshop. And interestingly, it was so amazing, wonderfully. So day 1, initially I thought 7 days will be too long. Every day 2 hours of this thing would be too long. But believe me, every minute of that workshop was truly enhancing. Not only, I would not say enhancing, giving me the knowledge which was not there, and particularly the different perspectives that Ramayana, it was on Valmiki Ramayana. She is an expert on Valmiki Ramayana. Truly amazing. और बहुत ही हमारा वो इंटरेक्टिव सेशन था. We had a lot of questions, and कुछ जगहों पर we had a different perspective as well. So एक वर्कशॉप में या इस तरह के सेशन में एक different perspective का होना भी बहुत ही important है. So this is wonderful, and our college has continuously been working towards it, towards reaching to our roots. And towards reaching to your roots is why important. When we say roots, and when you just imagine a plant, everything, a leaf, to the tip of a leaf of a plant is directly connected to the root. Every supplement, every nutrient, every food content, every drop of water that reaches to each little tip of a leaf. Leaf, of course, has a very important part to do with the plant. Anyone here? Plant, what is leaf doing? Photosynthesis. So the food for the plant is done by the leaf. So if you are leaf, You have to be deeply connected with your roots, and not just connected. You have to be totally interconnected. You have to give it to the root. You are taking from the root. So the connection between the root and the tip of the leaf is very, very deep. If you are aloof, you have seen a dead plant, right? What is there? The connection from the root is missing, right? So Indian knowledge system is abundance. बहुत ही बड़ा खजाना है. उसे जानना, पहचानना का मतलब है खुद को जानना और पहचानना. अपनी पहचान, we should feel proud of it. Be proud what you are. I am this. I belong to that village, that town, that city, that country, that community. So everything connected to you is what you should feel proud about it, right? And it is in that direction where we feel, what our phrase? Grounded. I am a grounded. This is our phrase. I am a very grounded person. Often we speak. What does it say? It says that, right? So, and all the endeavors that our college, our CSK is doing is brilliant. Every year, multiple events we are doing. We are trying to reach out that from the abundance, from the great treasure of our knowledge system, let's explore, let's dig out, let's understand, let's know ourselves. So with these words, I welcome the dignitaries on the dais, Dr. Ravinder Kaur, our colleague from CSI, let me take the glasses, Dr. Avinash Kumar from ICSSR, and Mr. Shiva Kumarji, Director IQAC Change Makers Indica, and they are experts in their fields in taking you to a journey of the Indian knowledge system. And with these words, I open the panel discussion here. With these words, thank you so much, and we are going to have a wonderful session. You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, I invite Professor Ravinder Kaur, NEP Coordinator of the University of Delhi, to share a few thoughts on the NEP SAARTHI initiative of the University Grants Commission and its importance for students and institutions.
A very good morning, namaskar to everyone. Very beautifully described by my senior colleague and friend. पेड़ कितना मजबूत होगा वो डिपेंड करेगा हमारी रूट्स कितनी अंदर तक हैं, हाउ डीपली रूटेड वी आर, एंड वी वोंट बी एबल टू नर्चर अ प्लांट till we actually know what type of roots are there in the plant. So to know about our roots is of utmost importance. So it's a pleasure to be here at Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, about to witness a very insightful panel discussion on Indian knowledge system. And I'm really thankful I got this opportunity. This program is being done under the aegis of NEP SAARTHI initiative, and NEP SAARTHI is an acronym for Student Ambassador for Academic Reforms in Transforming Higher Education in India. And it's a unique platform where once students can interact with other students, they are the torch bearers for the NEP, telling about this visionary document to the students, clearing their doubts. We have had initial programs also where students talked to their juniors, talked to their peers, telling them how flexible this document is, how they can get benefited. So NEP SAARTHI is the program, and it really helps in the holistic development of the students. In this spirit, our focus today is on the Indian knowledge system, and as been beautifully described earlier, it's extremely relevant. IQAC is not merely about heritage, it's about timeless ideas in science, mathematics, medicine, philosophy, governance, and sustainable living that continue to inspire our modern innovation. NEP 2020 envisions a meaningful integration of this wisdom into contemporary education so that our learners remain globally competent while staying grounded. Just like ma'am said, Grounded has a metaphor also, that I am humble, I am grounded, I am to my roots because I have my cultural values. So it's of utmost importance. I take this opportunity to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Yogesh Singh Ji, and Dean Academics, Professor Ratnabali Ma'am, for appointing me as the NEP SAARTHI Teacher Coordinator for the University of Delhi. My sincere thanks to the dynamic principal of this college, Professor Arun Atri, for agreeing to holding this program at such a short notice. And thanks are due to the convener of this center, Dr. Rashmi, Dr. Komal, and to the entire organizing committee. And unfortunately, Tarash Thapa, who is the NEP SAARTHI, hasn't been able to reach here. Oh, she's there. Please, I would like her to come forward, please. So she's the NEP SAARTHI from the college. That is why this is the reason we wanted to organize this event. So I think everyone should know she is the SAARTHI from Shaheed Bhagat Singh College. So looking forward to a very insightful discussion and a happy learning to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It's my honor to introduce our eminent speakers. Dr. Shiv Kumar GV is the Director of IQAC Changemakers at Indica, where he leads leadership programs, retreats and collaborations in the Indian knowledge systems ecosystem. A researcher on Itihasa Puranas, especially the Mahabharata and Purushartha, he has authored over 100 articles and co-authored books such as Unsung Valor and Adarsya. With 25 years of experience in the IT industry, including at Mindtree, he brings together scholarship, leadership and innovation. He is currently pursuing his PhD in Indian knowledge systems at IIT Delhi. Our second panelist, Dr. Avinash Kumar, serves as a Deputy Director at ICSSR, New Delhi. He is deeply engaged with advancing social science research in India and has been closely associated with higher education policy initiatives. His work reflects a strong commitment to strengthening research frameworks and connecting them with contemporary policy discourses. We are privileged to have both of them with us today. To steer today's discussion, we have with us Ms. Mohini Avasthi, who will serve as our moderator. She is one of the esteemed faculty members from the Department of English. She has completed her graduation and her post-graduation from Isabella Thoburn College, affiliated with the University of Lucknow, and is currently pursuing her PhD from IGNOU. Her areas of specialization include modern European drama and Indian writing in English. She has been actively engaged with Center of Indian Knowledge Systems and brings great clarity and insight to the discussions on policy and tradition. I now hand over the floor to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I have been talking to Sir, and it's been an honor to really talk to them and know how much insight that they have about the Indian knowledge system and the respect that they have for the Indian knowledge system. And it's an honor to be in such a presence which who are so passionate about the things that they believe in. And so I wouldn't waste much of time with what I have to say, and I would open the floor for the discussion forward. So thank you so much. I can invite? Okay. So Avinash Kumar sir, I would request you to come on the dais and please deliver your message. Thank you.
Thank you everybody for giving me this opportunity of being here. And as rightly pointed out, I have been a part of, basically I am a teacher of English literature. I have done my MA and PhD from JLU in English. And my relation with IQAC goes back to 2004. When after doing my graduation from university in Bihar, I saw the entrance test question papers of JNU, and there was a certain section which was talking about Natya Shastra and the art of dramaturgy in India, and we were quite unaware of it. And that was the first time I got to know that the people from English literature must know these things also. And I got the book. It was a really, not a good translation. The Board of Scholars translation that I got by Pune that institute. Yeah. But the moment I went through the first chapter, it completely opened up my eyes. And I thought this thing is something which is missing from the curriculum. This is something that should have been there for a long time. But unfortunately, it was not there. And then I went to the library, and the only text on Indian literary tradition was one book by my guru, Professor Kapil Kapoor, The Tradition of Interpretation. That book was there in my library. So I just picked it up and started reading that. So that was my initiation into the IQAC. Later on, I came to JNU, then I did my PhD, and then I was in administrative services for 6 or 7 years, then went back to academics. And again, I joined ICSR in 2023 on deputation. So, when we are talking about NEP and Indian knowledge system, you see, these two terms are so closely linked with each other. Very recently, in I think 2022, UGC came up with a draft of the new LOCF learning outcome based document, right? And if you look at that, it is basically designed in such a way that IQAC has to be an integral part of the curriculum. The way we make the courses, we design the courses, the kind of courses that we have, value-added courses are there, the major courses, the minor courses, skill enhancement courses, right? So this value-added courses, it was something which NEP basically envisioned, and it became a part of the LOCF, right? And apart from that, all the core courses that we have, or the multidisciplinary courses that we have, they are all coming out of this very framework of NEP 2020, which focuses on having a education system in which there is emphasis on multidisciplinarity, transdisciplinarity also, and the students should have knowledge of different languages, especially the local languages, right? The indigenous knowledge that we have in different fields. For example, if we are talking about biosciences, right, or if we are talking about, ma'am was just talking about geography, and you see, if you look at a particular paper in geography, which you call the geographical thought, on all the textbooks they begin with, the ancient Greeks and the Romans, right, and then you have Ptolemy and all. So it appears that there is hardly anything that you call the Indian knowledge, right? The descriptions that we have about the geography not only of India, but the whole concept of the man and environment relationship that we get, right? There are various models through which we can define how the mountains originated, right? We go back to Cobalt for the mountain building process and all. But if you look at the Indian system also, there are different ideas. India is a place, Bharat is a place which is full of ideas. And it is not just about any religious practice. It's not about any religious practice basically. It is a way of life. And the Indian tradition has always been a knowledge-based tradition. It is a knowledge-based tradition. I remember there is a 11-volume book called the Encyclopedia of Indian Politics. It was published in 2011 by Rupa Publication, and I was associated with that. So there was a word which came very frequently in that particular text that we had to change. It was the word scriptures. So Mahabharata becomes a scripture, Ramayana becomes a scripture. So you see, the way we have looked at the Indian texts, that itself was flawed. In scriptures, can you change any word from the scripture? You can. But in the Indian context, we have got an oral tradition which has been passing from generations to generations, thousands of years, and there is no copyright issue over there. There have been all this Vyas parampara. Vyas himself is a writer, but there is the whole parampara of Vyas, people who narrate the stories, the people who create the stories, right? So there is so much of flexibility over there. It's not a scripture. It's basically a knowledge text which gets refined with the passage of time. So when we look at the NEP, when we look at the Indian knowledge systems at ICSSR, and there are certain priority areas that we have defined, and both these fall into our priority areas. There are probably 28 or 29 disciplines in the social sciences that we cover, and IQAC is one of the disciplines, and in the field of education, NEP is our priority area, because we have to look at the ways. Now the NEP document is there. It is a 68-page or 69-page document that we have in the public domain, but its implementation across the country, it is a big challenge. Right? We have got so many diversities in India. So many different opinions are there. Some may agree with that, some may not agree with that. But the point is, there should not be a political opinion regarding the implementation of the NEP. Right? Whatever is best, if you are talking about the local languages, it is already there in the NEP. They are focusing upon the local languages, the indigenous knowledge that we have at different places. I don't think that should become an issue at all. Right? So, when we are talking about the IQAC and we are talking about the NEP 2020, there is a very close proximity. And, the basic idea is to revive those 18 Vidyas and 64 Kalas that we have in India. And UGC is currently looking at all the different disciplines of that are being taught in different universities of India. There is a major problem going around especially in the state universities across India. We have got this credit system which can be transferred from one place to another, right? But if you look at the syllabi from different parts of the country, we realize that there is a lot of anomaly. So if the credit bank is something which can be transferred from one place to another place, for that we need a parity in framing the syllabus across the country. And for that, UGC has started designing a model curriculum syllabus for all the disciplines on the basis of the new LOCF document, which was drafted in 2022. And the primary focus of that particular document is to make sure that there is a fine balance between our own knowledge systems and to enable the students to know what is happening across the globe at the current time. So it is not, past versus present. It is not about Indian versus Western. Right? It is basically India and the West, past and the present. That is the way we have to look at this whole process of accepting the Indian knowledge systems and framing the syllabus as per the ideas which are there in the NEP 2020. So I think the student community is the best one which we should begin with the whole process of the implementation, and they are all obviously they are the stakeholders of everything, every policy that we are framing. The students are definitely a part of it. They are the major stakeholders of that. The teaching faculty are also a part of that. So we are trying. UGC, for example, it has just to look at the website of UGC, and there are 9 different subjects whose syllabus, model syllabus, has been placed on the website, and it is there for feedback. So obviously the feedback will be positive as well as negative, and finally UGC will, depending upon the feedback that they receive, there will be a lot of brainstorming going on there. And since I basically a part of that whole process, I know how much thought has gone into that. Right? Scholars from across the country, they have multiple sessions, and after all those multiple sessions, and they have come up with certain ideas which everybody agrees with. and those ideas are then placed in front of the public to give their opinion, to give their feedback. And the final document will only emerge after getting all the feedbacks. So it is a very democratic process in which it is not something which is being thrust upon somebody. No, it is something which everybody has to accept and everybody has to contribute. It is something which is very inclusive. It is something that we have to not study. We don't need to study as something. चलो syllabus में पढ़ना पड़ेगा. No, that attitude that should not come in the way we are looking at the two things. And obviously, Sri Kumar ji is an expert in IQAC. We are having some discussion before coming to this place. So he will give you, a better glimpse of the different aspects of IQAC. My portion is basically it is an argument. I think we will have some discussions also in case the students have some questions. So we are basically trying to create a fine balance so that there is the essence of the Indian knowledge systems. They are basically integrated into the existing knowledge, the modern knowledge that we have, and both of them should live in a synchrony. They are being synchronized in such a way that they will contribute in enhancing the knowledge, the skills, and the capacity of the students. So, as of now, that is all from my side. And when we have discussion and the questions, we will have further discussions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. I like the fact that there is very less rigidity that is associated to Indian knowledge system and which is seen to be the characteristic of Indian knowledge system, and it is the people that seem to come with this seem to be very accommodating and tolerant, and that is what I really liked and enjoyed about being a part of this. So thank you for inviting us. I will invite now Shaheed Bhagat sir. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly now. So I'll be.
Can I make a small presentation? Namaste to one and all. Namaste to Dr. Avinash Kumar. Thank you for a really wonderful lecture. I was carefully listening, and every word and every sentence. I think I read the NEP the day it got released, and you really summed up my own understanding of NEP and all the dignitaries of Shaheed Bhagat Singh College. And my dear students, it's wonderful to see a full house on a heavily rainy day. Clearly, the college has already started its own journey in Indian knowledge systems. That is the confidence that I get. Okay. Let me begin. So what we'll do is, it's a short 15-minute presentation. What can otherwise be a full day thing. So we'll just briefly introduce what is IQAC, why Indian knowledge systems at a very high level, and explore one or two concepts that will kind of get you started with your journey in Indian knowledge systems. So this is a glimpse. This is not complete. I may have not mentioned so many things. You'll be able to see that, oh, this is missing, that is missing. So you have to assume that all of that is also a part of this. Next slide, please. So what is the Indian knowledge systems? It's important to know that it's not just the Vaidika Parampara. It is also the Shramana Parampara, which consists of Jainism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and all other are not mentioned, streams of knowledge. All of them have created knowledge. They're all knowledge traditions, like he very clearly mentioned, Dr. Avinash. I think that's the lesson that Dr. Kapil Kapoor also has emphasized, that it's a knowledge system. And the embodied tribal and folk knowledge. These are three different dimensions of Indian knowledge systems. So we are not just talking about Nyaya, Tarka and all that. We are also talking about oral traditions. Everything is part of Indian knowledge systems. So to get a real, true perspective of Indian knowledge systems, we will have to look at all three different dimensions. Of course, it's not possible for us to become an expert in all. We become an expert in one thing. But the breadth is extremely important. Without knowing the breadth, it's not possible to understand so many dimensions of, even in the Vaidika Parampara, there is so many practice-oriented knowledge that merely by reading the text, you will not get. So Indian knowledge systems has three dimensions: text, practice and embodied. So many pieces of knowledge are not there in the text at all. There is a tribe in Karnataka from where I come called Jenu Kurubas who extract honey out of the beehives. Only that community knows to do it very well. They know it. They don't do it with most perfection, with minimum damage. And there is no written knowledge of that. There is no way to write that knowledge also. You have to be with them to understand and embody yourselves within the nature. Only then you get it. That is Indian knowledge systems. So it's extreme. Modernity has pushed the text. It's in the last 200 years, the text has become more important than practice. It has never happened in the past, in the history of Bharatvarsh, that text is more important. So this is a problem because now in the universities also we read more, right? We do less. So that itself, pedagogical NEP actually enables that, through all its value-added courses and all that. But nevertheless, this is important. So many pieces of knowledge you will miss if you don't read. Jainism has produced some of the most important astronomy and mathematics related works. Yajna has resulted in mathematics. So to know all that, entire breadth is necessary to be appreciated. Yes. So why Indian knowledge systems? Why should find all that pieces of knowledge is there? One student asked me, not student, I had gone to a civil services academy and one bright probationary officer asked me, sir, you're yourself saying 200 years back it got suppressed and it's not flowing seamlessly after that. Why don't we let it go? World has moved on. Why bring all that back? This is the reason why we will have to bring it back. So we will spend a little time over here. One is, India has the best perspective of well-being. Well-being is a terminology today, right? Well-being is a significant core area in yoga and Ayurveda. What is well-being? The definition of well-being itself is holistic in India. For that, you need Indian knowledge systems. A theory of happiness, a theory of health, the health itself is differently defined in yoga and Ayurveda. Health is not the bodily, functioning of certain things. Mind being part of the health. Mind is an afterthought in the modern world. Mind is an integral part. Experiences, there are 5 different kinds of experiences that, Indian knowledge systems talks about. It's not just the bodily, Anna Kosha is the body Kosha, but Prana, Manas, Vijnana and Ananda, they're all integral part. This perspective you will not get in any other discipline. 3. Beauty of life is beyond material. This also you will get it only in Indian knowledge systems. It's not what you experience by your 5 senses. There is beauty beyond the 5 senses. For that, you need to come to Indian knowledge systems. In fact, Dr. Avinash Kumar mentioned about Natya Shastra. Natya Shastra has the best theories of experience and the best theory of design. Your entire aesthetics will become completely different with Natya Shastra. That's why Indians created completely different architecture as opposed to others. You enter an ancient Indian architecture, you will naturally go into calmness, look into the house design of your ancient house. If you are in small towns, if you are from small towns and villages, and if you've seen large houses there, their designs are completely different. Their harmony is an integral part. So that will be it. The best principles of social life for harmony still comes from India. Community life has not been as successful in the rest of the universe as much it has been in India. Ethics and justice, the amount of time our people have spent and written on ethics and justice. Ethics is still a borderline evolving discipline in the modern world. It is not at all evolved. It's just because the modern world has come from the West. That's because you read more ethics, Aristotelian downwards. But ethics discussion is so deep in Indian knowledge traditions that to understand a holistic perspective of ethics and justice, you need Indian knowledge systems, including Ramayana and Mahabharata. In Ramayana and Mahabharata, all of us read Mahabharata and end with Pandavas winning. After that, 2 chapters come. They are the biggest chapters of Mahabharata, Shanti Parva and Anushasana Parva. Those 2 parvas engage with ethics like anything else. Put together, their engagement with ethics will be more than the modern world's engagement with ethics put together. Just Mahabharata. The Indian knowledge systems is the only formal knowledge systems that takes care of environment naturally, because nature is an integral part of knowledge. The primary perspective of life in India is to align with nature. So it's not something that you do as an afterthought. Alignment with nature comes straight from Indian knowledge systems. Highly evolved pedagogy. Every subject has its own pedagogy. Pedagogy means, I hope all of you know, the method of learning, the method of teaching. There is no one method of pedagogy in Indian knowledge systems. Nyaya has its own methodology. Veda chanting has its own another methodology. Then, Ayurveda has a totally different methodology. So, richness of pedagogy comes from India. Sophisticated, I don't know how many of you are studying grammar and linguistics over here. World's best, even by contemporary standards, the achievement of Sanskrit grammar Ashtadhyayi is unparalleled. 2500 years back, but even today it fascinates linguists. In 4000 rules, Panini has captured not just the complexity of Sanskrit, but its ability to explain other languages, any other language. It's called a generative language. Today, in linguistics, the field of generative language is emerging. The world's first generative language would be, generative grammar would be Ashtadhyayi. Not just that, you all may have studied science in 11th and 12th. Your periodic table, all of you know periodic table, right? Yes, sir. Periodic table design. Who did periodic table design? Mendeleev, right? Mendeleev was influenced by the organization of Sanskrit alphabet. If you look at it, periodic tables design, vowels, Vargya Vyanjana, Avargya Vyanjana, it reflects, he got this idea. He has himself written it. So like that, there's a lot of cross-functional influence also that is possible. So like that, we have frameworks for sustainability, psychology, unique psychology theory exists. Maximum diversity in life in all civilizations has has been promoted by Indian knowledge systems. So like this, so on and so forth. So many, except let's say modern science and modern technology is the only thing that has galloped in the last 200 years. But there also, if you have studied calculus, you should know that by 14th century, India had reached the doorsteps of calculus. There is a school called Kerala School of Mathematics, Madhava, in Sangamagrama in Kerala. Their infinite series was very close to what Leibniz and Newton found 150 years later. So we had reached to such an advanced situation. So put together, for individual well-being and collective reimagination of life, Indian knowledge systems continues to offer a lot. So all of this will put together, we have a different theory of change, we have a different theory of sustainability, we have a different theory of time. Our own theory of Saundarya is totally different. The way we represent knowledge is very different from the West. And so on and so forth. It has resulted in, diversity, decentralization. All of these are civilizational achievements of Bharat. Just because we got disrupted last 200 years, we should not miss this person. But all of this is not an afterthought. There are many concepts. If you study carefully, you will see that all this emerged. So it is possible to study many concepts like this. I have arranged a set of concepts. Some of them you will know, some of them you will not know. All of you would have heard Purushartha, Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha. That is for the individual. All of you would have heard Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. That is for the universe. All of you would have heard Adibhautika, Adhyatmika, Adidaivika. That is also for the universe. All of you would have heard about Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti. All of you would have heard about Satya, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. These are all parallels of the same reality. It is possible to organize concepts from Indian knowledge systems in this array, and every layer is an equivalent. For instance, Artha and Kama are equivalents of Srishti, Laya. They are also equivalents of Annamaya Kosha and Pranamaya Kosha. Like this, it is possible to very quickly get started. You don't have to be lost in a large text. A large text like Mahabharata will have 1 lakh shlokas. But it is possible to start small. Understanding any one of this will lead you into all of that. If you start your journey with Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, you will reach all of this gradually, step by step. And their power to explain the universe is very, very deep. So I will now just read this. Just based on the previous slide, I will read this. And I will anchor it on one word called dharma. Just one word. So dharma, what is its relationship? All other concepts that are there in the previous slide. You can do this with anything. You can start with Ichha Shakti and explain everything else. So I'm just demonstrating how easy it is to get started. So dharma sustains artha and kama. Dharma protects sacred pursuits. That is the pursuit of moksha. Dharma's paradigm is yajna. Dharma's paradigm of performance is karma. Dharma is realized by offering rinas, the 5 rinas. Dharma requires that you organize life in Srishti Sthiti Laya. Dharma requires that life is also organized at 3 levels. You have to recognize that Bhautika or the physical is not the only thing. Daivika and Atmika are also another 2 layers of life. If you don't recognize that, there is no Dharma possible. Dharma requires that we as human beings use our Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti and Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Anyone missing will make Dharma not possible. Dharma requires that 5 rinas, not just the Manushya rina, but Bhuta, Daiva and Brahma Pitru, all Rinams are being fulfilled. Now, why am I putting this? The reason I am putting it is that if you pick any one word, it connects itself with all other words and an explanatory narrative like this can be drawn. Can you go back to the previous slide? I can pick, let's say, Dana. I can pick, let's say, Kriya Shakti and rewrite that slide. Any concept you give me from here, I will rewrite that slide and explain relationship between one another. That is the journey that we have to undertake. Obviously, it's a lot today. But when you begin the journey, point is you can pick on any one concept. It will lead you to all other concepts over a period of time. In 1 year, let's say, just put 1 year, you'll be able to cover all the concepts and understand what is the implication of those concepts. Next. But finally, I'll leave it with one concept, that is Purushartha, because that is the most important thing for us to understand. All of us know that we have our desires, we have our needs, and we want to build live a healthy, society we want to build. And we all want to have some kind of spirituality, some kind of sacred pursuits. So it's called desire, security, society, and divinity. This much we all know subconsciously, even whether we are taught or not, we follow these things. But this actually comes from Purushartha. Next slide. So this is how we understand. We all have our desires, we have security. But we know that, something else must balance it. Otherwise it will go awry. Desires and needs will go awry. So that's why we have dharma and moksha. So we have a rudimentary understanding of this. And, this is largely good enough. Thankfully, you don't need to study to get this much. Even if you have not even studied, somehow in India you will understand all this. Because the society in the air, it is there, and people have an intuitive understanding of all. It's important to know this. Know the beauty of this is that this is the only philosophy of life that gives an equal value to your desires and needs as much as a higher value like moksha. You see, they all belong to 4 different categories. Normally in the modern world, you are taught not to mix categories, right? You will separate categories. Desire is a separate category, moksha is a separate category. You don't build a framework that brings 2 different categories together. But Indian philosophy allows you to bring all that. There is an equal value given to all these 4 pursuits. Only thing it says is that, without dharma, you will other 3 pursuits will not work. You will have to have an anchoring pursuit. Next slide. So this is what it is. It says that all of us have to pursue our desires and needs, but there is a limit. You can't endlessly and infinitely pursue. This one rule ensures that we all become conscious of each other. We are all responsible for not just our own desires and needs. We are also responsible for others' desires and needs. That requires nature's resources, which are limited. Hence, we need to protect nature's. What I'm trying to say is that if you start with just Purushartha, the entire philosophy of Indian life opens up to you. Just one framework. Just because of one rule. Rule is that you cannot pursue your desires and needs endlessly. And you have to be cognizant of desires and needs of your family members and society and everybody else. And you have to, not just that, you have to respect others' sense of sacred. Your sense of sacred will be different from others' sense of sacred. You cannot override that. You don't have to have a right to determine others' sense of sacred. Just this one framework will open up because this framework cannot be explained independently. When you begin to explain it, you have to go to Srishti Sthiti Laya. You have to go to Ichha Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti in a sophisticated manner. So your longish journey in Indian knowledge systems can start simply with Purushartha. One last slide I will show. Not this, not this, not this. Yeah, this is the last slide that I will leave you people with. On the y-axis is your Purushartha. On the x-axis is somebody else's Purushartha. Maybe your family member, maybe your friends, maybe your own society, can be nation, can be that of this college also. Is my pursuit of desire, ambition contributing to others' pursuit of desire and needs, or is it harming? That itself can become a framework for personal vision development. Being self-aware of whether your own pursuits are contributing to others or not. This itself is good enough a reason to study Indian knowledge systems, because this kind of a responsible pursuit of your own desires and needs, you don't have a theoretical framework that you will get from elsewhere. So, really what I do in like 2 hours, I've done it in like 15 minutes, maybe later more. Thank you very much, and it's wonderful to see this journey of Indian knowledge systems having already started so very well in Shaheed Bhagat Singh College. It's a privilege and honor to be here. Thankful to Dr. Komarov and all the faculty members for inviting me here. And I wish you all a great journey in Indian knowledge systems. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, the vastness and richness of Indian knowledge system has been laid out very, very briefly. And right now it might feel very cryptic because there are some things that you do not understand and you might be drawn by the initial charm. But after it settles down, the peaceful recognition of the understanding of the true understanding of the Indian knowledge system is what we aim to do, right? And how it renders to any system that renders or feeds on the curiosity of students, it builds upon itself, right? So it is something that is made for students and made for learners, people who want to learn, right? So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I really enjoyed, and I hope I can say that to the rest of the people, that we enjoyed it thoroughly. It was a great induction into into just a sort of origination and induction of what this system should look like. So yeah, I will give the floor to Drishti.
Thank you so much, sirs, for your illuminating thoughts, and thank you, Mohini ma'am, for guiding the discussion so meaningfully. I now invite Mr. Raj Thapa, NEP SAARTHI from our college, to share a few thoughts on Indian knowledge systems, the NEP, and her own experiences of working with NEP.
Good morning, everyone. I am Zaraj Thapa. I am currently studying Economic Honours at Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, and I serve as an NEP SAARTHI at college level and at DU level. I'm also the president of EcoSpire, the Economic Society of my college, and it feels really special to be here with my fellow NEP SAARTHIs. They're present here today. And I would like to thank my NEP coordinator, Mrs. Ravinder Kaur ma'am, who is also present here with us. So as NEP SAARTHIs, our role is to bring the vision of NEP 2020 closer to the students, making the goal of multidisciplinary learning, holistic education, and flexibility and equal opportunity for all students. So NEP's focus on higher education system has been introduced with skill enhancement courses, value-added courses, and ability enhancement courses, which I know you all must be doing. So personally, I have completed courses ranging from digital marketing to green belt development for smart cities, while in value-added courses introduced me to ethics and culture, social and emotional learning, and there's one more thing that I did, financial learning. That I think these are the skills that that really help in skill building, and it's not just about learning your course here. So these opportunities have enhanced my skills and given me an exposure beyond the classroom. Another aspect is the Indian knowledge system, reminding us that education is not only about employability but also about connecting our cultural roots and values. So, through this journey, I've had the chance to engage with students and faculties in many ways, from organizing campaigns at Hindu College to interacting with peers and students, conducting NEP help desk at the conference hall, to conducting essay competitions, and also contributing to the 5th year anniversary of NEP 2020. Each experience gave me a perspective. Campaigns showed me how students interpret reforms. The help desk highlighted the need for accessible policies, and the anniversary reminded me that NEP is still evolving and growing with student participation. So for me, being an NEP SAARTHI has been about participation, ensuring that students feel involved in shaping the future of education. I'm grateful for this opportunity to contribute in any way. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarash. I now hand the floor back to Mohini ma'am, who will take up the questions from the audience.
I now open the floor for questions. So if there are any questions, please go to the pictures, go to and are there to answer questions.
First of all, sir, I want to congratulate you that you have discussed something which is very positive and profound. My question is that see, we have been studying the Western text, and now we are talking about our own cultural past. So, in this contemporary era, in this contemporary period, where we have the IT sectors, which are developing a lot, and we are surrounded by AI tools every day. So, how AI generated tools can be used in reading our cultural past? So, this is my question to you, sir. Shaheed.
Thank you. It's a beautiful question. My own MTech thesis was in AI, so I have a fair idea how to respond to this question. So there are two things. One is how to use AI for our purposes. Second is what can we contribute to AI. There are two dimensions to this question. First, how to use AI for our purposes. It is very, very difficult for all of us to study all texts together. See, let's say if I today ask, what are the important cross references between Jain texts on karma and Vaidika texts on karma? For one person to do this, it will take humongous amount of time. But a draft version of this can be prepared by an AI large language model in really quick time. So, textual cross-reference is a wonderful thing that can be built by AI. Then it readies a deep dive. So, we will be able to extract so much more knowledge. Secondly, we have, you all will know, the National Mission for Manuscripts. We have millions of all Indian languages manuscripts not yet opened. We don't even know what knowledge is. A large scale digitalization of it and then using AI to create a first version of understanding of it will help us where we must focus. So like this, large language models can be used to do cross text analysis in a very big way and generate completely new knowledge. Even now, every time people read Mahabharata, they keep on adding new pieces of language and knowledge. And we should be able to do that faster. Okay, this is one. Second dimension is that entire perspective of life in AI is still running with the Western traits, the Western perspective of life. So bringing in our text will bring a lot more balance to the way AI will make decision making itself. That is how we can contribute with AI. So both these are very much possible, and actually that's an opportunity for us to bring Indian knowledge systems back to relevance also in that process.
Thank you so much. Just extending to what she asked. You know, Indian knowledge system is the embodiment of so many qualities, as you very beautifully described, from push-on to diversity to sustainability to justice. What is one quality you would suggest to our students that they should imbibe in today's world of social media, AI, we are surrounded by all gadgets? Which is one quality which you feel is of utmost importance and it's of vitality to them? They have to imbibe that quality by all.
Beautiful question. Beautiful question. I think if we imbibe, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasa, that is the listening ability, reflecting, studying that within your mind and reflecting. That is something that is not possible with a social media as a primary interface. That will bring stillness within yourself, and also it's a way of learning anything. The way of learning is gotten significantly, digressed by social media. You see, I could have said meditation, but I did not say that because I wanted to tell something that is relevant to student life. Paradigm of learning and the balance that Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana brings, it will reflect itself into yoga. It will connect itself into yoga. It will connect itself into so many things. Somewhere it will become more important. So we will have a balance between Ichha-Shakti, Jnana-Shakti, Kriya-Shakti with this. So I feel that bringing Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana back into school, college pedagogy itself will bring a whole lot of difference in our own persona.
Hello, sir. This is Lisa. I just have two questions. One from the perspective of. So my first question is, when we are bringing Indian knowledge system to the current times, that also poses a possibility of challenges because our current gender perspective, our current perspective of caste have changed a lot from that time. So my two questions are: firstly, you also mentioned in the presentation that common desires come under Purusha. That takes a different connotation in the current times, but also from all of our ideas, while there is not an active movement against women, there is also an erasure, a complete absence from women in their lectures, in their education, didactic principles. So when we bring it now, what challenges do we pose for us, for the women studying it? And second question, thank you, sir, but when we are seeing it Sanskrit, it's a language which Dalits did not have early access to. These all texts the Dalits, or the again a minority didn't have access to, women who didn't get to read. So what does this mean that when we bring ideas and they have to read it, when it's not their local language, we hear them some practical?
Thank you for asking all these questions. First question is that I myself curated a book called Arya, an anthology of Vedic women. It is a collection of 10 stories on 10 women from the Itihasa Purana, with written by 10 different authors. So I request you to read that. If you go back to Ramayana and Mahabharata, written by Valmiki and Vyasa, you will see fascinating characterization of women. There is not one woman who will appear weak. So I give an example. Shakuntala, all of us know Shakuntala, right? Kalidasa's Shakuntala, who is very meek and subdued. In Mahabharata, is extremely fierce. She if she tells Dushyanta, you don't deserve in the Sabha, and Dushyanta just listens. So in Indian knowledge systems, women have always had a stronger presence up until the British era. It is post-British era that the women got pushed out. See, I come from Karnataka and from Bangalore. Nearby Bangalore, there is a place where a stone inscription was found. In that, a lady is sitting on a small chair, and next to her is a small stool with a pile of manuscripts. She is holding one manuscript like this in the hand, and her name is Savimir Medi. And what is written below is Sarvashastra Parangati. Means one who is well versed in all shastras. And why is this? And her parents' name is also written. Why was this inscription was established? Because she was a great scholar who died young. So the villagers felt extremely bad, not even done by the kings or anybody. The villagers felt bad that a great scholar in the society was lost. And in order to commemorate her, they put this. Do you know which decade it is belongs, which century it belongs to? 11th century AD. If you go to Shunga era and starting from Shunga era to up until Gupta era, a great amount of archive was found in Chandraketu in Bengal. If you go there, if you refer to that art, you will find women doing head of elephants, women army men, all women party troops. You will get a completely different picture of women. And it's only after 18th century that changed, and why it changed is not something that we should discuss. So actually, if you go back to the Indian knowledge systems, you will find a character and a depiction of women and participation of women in all walks of life. In Karnataka, the greatest philanthropist is Abdi, a 10th century Jaina philanthropist. In her name, even today awards. So across India, I'm telling you with confidence that you will find women participating in public life in all walks of life very high till 18th century. Only after 19th century it changed. That is one good reason to go back. Point number one. Point number two, how many of you know somebody called Dharampal? Dr. Komal knows, I know. Of course, Dr. Nashma will definitely know. It's important that you all read Dharampal. This notion will go away. Access to Sanskrit as a language was universal in India up until 18th century. With the data we produce, whose data? British themselves undertook lot of study of India from 1800 to 1825. The British administrators have recorded schools and all kinds of schools across Tamil Nadu region, Andhra Pradesh region, part of Mysore, Bihar and Bengal. In Bihar and Bengal, Thomas Monroe has said that there is not one village without a school. Often there are two schools in the same village. And records of how many students, men, women, boys, girls, of which caste is there. So if you read Dharampal, you will see that all jatis were studying in schools up until 1800. And things only changed after that. And you will see Sanskrit, basic Sanskrit access to every. It's only advanced things like chanting, which nobody was interested in reading. That was restricted. So for both the reasons that you really brought out well, it will be good to go back to Indian knowledge systems because that was the era where things were significantly different. Because it got suppressed, we think that what has happened in the last 200 years is true of all 5,000 years, which is not true. So now when people are studying, Dharampal is a mandatory read for Indian knowledge systems, interested people. 5 volumes, lots of volumes still to be produced, real data. There's no, hand-waving theory. You will see schools with records of how many students with class everything. both these relate. So I'm glad she asked this question and I got a chance to clarify.
I would just like to add a few more aspects that has already explained beautifully. If we say who defined the fate of Hastinapur in Mahabharata, that one person is Satyavati. Right. So the women, they always had the agency of deciding the future, the fate of the kingdoms of India, right in the British times. And after the system of knowledge that Macaulay introduced in India, these things obviously changed. But we have to look at from another angle also. Why was Max Muller so adamant on going after the Indian texts? Right. Why Roman Jacobson was going after the Indian linguistic theories? Why were they working on Nagarjuna and Bhartrihari all the time? Yeah. So you see, the turn of the 20th century, which also witnessed the linguistic turn in English studies. I mean, all of them went back to the classical Indian texts. They were reading Panini, they were reading Bhartrihari, they were reading, Nagarjuna was very, famous from them. And you said about the tradition of the woman writing, you read that Gatha, the Buddhist nuns. It is a beautiful, series of poetry that they have written. So, and there is also a good thing, I think, this came from Sahitya Academy, in which they have compiled the poetry of women writers of India since the times of Gatha, I suppose, 5th century, 4th century BC onwards. So you see, there is always a tradition of women writing, of women deciding the agency of deciding where the nation goes, where the kingdoms go, who will be the next ruler. You see, Satyavati was the most powerful, I think, woman character. And then Draupadi, she was somebody who actually challenged the whole system of marriage that we say, where the onus of virtue lies upon women. That is a misnomer that we have created. She is challenging all that. So you see, India has got such a diverse, tradition of women. And again, the word Dalit that we use, initially before, I think, 7th century BC, there is hardly the word Sudra or Dalit anywhere. Few Varnas were there, based upon the occupations that they had. This is a later edition which came with certain changes in politics. It has got its own politics. So when we talk about knowledge, we have to keep the politics aside for some time. That will make it more clear for us. Thank you.
So it is a continuation question which Himani has asked. She's talking about the socially oppressed, suppressed people who were not given access to education in the past. So, do you see that the people who were from the lower community were given access to the education in that period? So, yes or no, I just want to have your answer.
For some time, they're almost confusing. Please. We know you had a class at 12.
At least that is what clearly Dharampal's data says. Dharampal's data categorically says, it is not Dharampal's data, it is what the British administrators recorded between the period of 1800 to 1825. He gives specifically, they have recorded which community they belong to. When you look at that, all communities seem to belong. Now, what we can question is there was no universal education. That we can question. So, for example, in 1820, the old Mysore region, British administrators say, had 33% literacy across the communities. Now we can see that's less. But at that time, the Great Britain area, which was the best in the world in that part, was less than 20%. That's their, they are awestruck, that this is happening. And the rest of the world is even lesser. So, universal education may not have been there. But when you look at the school records that British administrators themselves wrote, it appears that in the same school, different community people had been studying. See, life significantly altered after 1820-25. It's unimaginable alteration because funding to such schools was ended post 1835, post William Bentinck's, Macaulay's edicts. After that, it's a tumbling down of India. By 1900, India became unrecognizable. But when you go back, you will see that, or see, there is one in Ashtadhyayi, there is a term for woman teacher. Upadhyayini, something is there. Now, a common noun is given only when there are sufficient number of people are there for that. So that means a significant number of women teachers must have been there. Significant number of women, not as there is one place where a category of boys who come to school, or just because there are girls also studying, there is a noun for that also, which means that girls are studying in the same school. So these are all dimensions of study. Nobody reads Ashtadhyayi for history, but actually you can find so much of insight which is contradicting 19th century reality. So the answer is definitely yes, and I think a deep dive into Dharamapal's research would be really helpful in truly answering this question because our narrative has not changed in the 19th century. We have to accept that in 19th and 20th century we have plummeted. There is no doubt. But where things were intact, for instance, in Mysore region, the king, for 20 years, around 8-10 years, the previous king died. So the kingdom was acted by the king for 10 years. And believe me, Indian Institute of Science के लिए जगह देने का decision was that by the queen. When everybody else in India had refused because they were not wanting to take on the British, and the jagah was given by the queen. Her contribution is recorded because it is late 19th century. It is available and recorded.
The one more little addition to that, you see, the Britishers they themselves, if you look at the history of education in England itself, the women, they were not part of the university system for a long period of time. So whatever wrongs happened in Britain, they imposed on the Indian system. That was the issue. I mean, you look at the Elizabethan theatre, during the times of Shakespeare, the roles of the women were played by boys.
Never again.
The first time a Shakespearean woman character was played by a woman artist was in 1761, I think, with the restoration, the coming of the restoration, right? So you see, the Britishers themselves, they had all these fault lines in their society, and they just used their own history to superimpose it upon the Indian history and to rip it up. That is the history. That is the truth. Thank you.
One comment on this, I would request all of you to read a new book by Professor Kundan Singh on colonialism, where he has brought up this dimension that he mentioned that their own worldview they imposed on all the colonial regions. There's a proper theory that he has made out of that, Professor Kundan Singh. That book is freely downloadable and it is published by Springer.
Hello, thank you for this amazing discussion. It was a really insightful presentation, to be honest. The question that I had to ask from Mr. Shukkumar was that you had extensively mentioned that the practices have been vanished since the past 200 years. And we still have the ideologies in the text, like Panchkota or the five-in system and other systems. So, how do you, what is your opinion on how these things could be integrated in the things like modern sciences, where the practice is the most important component to learn something? Could this be added since the text there is only text and the practices that were earlier have vanished? So how would that be brought back into the system?
Good question. Thank you for this question. Why it has vanished from the institutional space? It has not vanished from the community space. So that is why we are fortunate enough to still have communities practice. So it is possible to restore it back. If Israel could bring Hebrew back into life after it had completely vanished from nobody was speaking. So then something that is already in practice can be brought back. That's why yoga is back. Why is yoga back? Because there is a significant practicing community now it has spread across the world. So definitely, science, all the disciplines that I mentioned, all of them can be very easily back because there are practicing people. How to bring it back? Yes, there is a job that needs to be done in Kerala. There is a job that needs to be done. Your department, this group can undertake, just say we will bring back Indian psychology into the mainstream. This group can achieve it. Study various texts, extract psychology, insights. A new theory will definitely be possible. Many new theories will come out of that. So, some amount of effort is required, but in 2-3 years, we should be able to bring one textbook for curriculum in every single discipline that we have. If just about 30 people are dedicated to each of them. See, we are honoring Dr. Meenakshi Jain, who is a historian who got elevated into Rajya Sabha on 30th August. I invite all of you to join us in IQAC. She single-handedly, restored respect to a dimension of history that nobody thought was possible. Nobody thought that these archaeological evidences could exist. He said, one person could do that over a period of 30 years, and we have a completely new line of history that has opened up. Now hundreds of people can go and study. It's a conviction matters. So being dedicated towards it matters.
Wonderful deliberations and interesting discussions that are happening. So one thing that we were talking as the young students' perspective, these words look really. I would like to request, how ICSAR can help in doing that. Yes, then you say Manada, you say this, so these kind of things which is leading to a wholesome life and a balanced, sustainable life for the individual. Right? So where the society is lacking, the individual is getting disturbed. Right? And when we see these kind of sessions, it's too heavy for a young person, for a teenager or for a 20-year-old child. So, what can we do to bring such things to that level so that it can be linked to their everyday life? And I'm sure ICSR can maybe lead some kind of a special drive of research projects, etc.
Ma'am, thank you so much for asking this. My life's mission is to make Purushartha accessible to all individuals. That is my mission. So, out of my 100 articles, maybe 25 are on Purushartha. So, it is possible to translate that into a language. That's why I said desire, need, society and security. If we anchor it on 4 these languages, then that will happen. And there are different ways to do that. So, if a half day is there, a proper workshop on that can be done. In fact, I run a workshop called Purushartha Based Personal Vision Development. So how do we use Purushadika to craft a personal vision, which is an important thing. But I agree, it is necessary for us to have a compendium of maybe, 250 words of criticality, Sanskrit words, but well explained in a modern idiom. That becomes a handbook for people. I think it's an excellent solution, and I would request IQAC to consider.
Actually, there are two aspects to this thing. First of all, ICCR does promote this kind of research. I think very recently in Assam, we had a specific seminar on IKS and NEP 2022. Right, that seminar was there, and there were at least 75 papers which were presented. So ICCR promotes research, and it also helps in dissemination of that research. So we get publications, we fund people who submit proposals, but at the end of the day, the proposal has to come from the academia. ICCR is basically a funding body, and obviously the competition is very tough, and thousands of applications come every year. And out of those, based upon the evaluation of the expert committee, we can get only a limited number of proposals. But these are both are priority areas, and we prefer that people give good proposals. Writing a good proposal, that is the mandatory thing that we need. Right? You can have seminars also, you can have workshops also. So you can always send proposals to ACS regarding that. Then there is another organization called as CHDT. Okay, so they are somebody who are capable of creating this compendium of knowledge bases. Then there is Sahitya Academy. It has also got a well-defined role for itself. So it is not just one organization which can do this. And UGC, of course, UGC, the policy formulations of UGC, they are actually leading us towards that one. Especially in the last 5 to 10 years, they have worked extensively on this. So, the government is obviously willing to do this, and there are fundings also available. We need to do this. Yes. Yes. They have got 27 lakh words. That is the result that they have. So, that is a great achievement. Okay.
So, is that the invitation?
Hello, sir. We are truly grateful for all the insights that you've given us. I have 2 questions. The first one was, why are the insights of our practices, our history, our women, and scriptures, everything that we are learning right now, are not provided from the foundation level of our education, that is school. In CBSC, for example, we don't have any kind of text from our history in the curriculum, right? We don't study Mahabharata, we don't study Ramayana on the foundation level of our education. So, what can we do to, make sure that these don't occur as a foreign concept to us? That when we are in our college, we should have some kind of basic understanding. And I think not most, but at least there are people who don't know, who don't understand the importance of the things that we are understanding today, right? And my second question was, on ground level, if we look at the statistics, and I myself, we belong from villages, many villages from we are from different places, right? And I must say that in villages, on the foundation level, there are people who have twisted meaning or twisted understanding of our text, right? For example, men who claim to be religious, in some cases, their religious beliefs just occurs upon the dominance on women. They have twisted understanding. Women are still confined. Women are still confined in their homes. They don't understand the value of their existence. They don't understand the value of text, and they don't understand the value of women in the text that we study today. So what can we do in order to change? What can we do in order to make them understand what should be the reality of?
See, why things have become the way it has become is a question that we can skip, because that it take us into another realm of discussion. Then if you open up, it will will go on forever. But suffice to say that the colonial era pushed us into a corner. See, if you should go and visit regions where colonialism affected very little, like in the South Kannada, Gwalior region, parts of Maharashtra, where colonialism did not happen at all almost, you will see a completely different one. Please note that, do you know which was the region of maximum literacy in India in 1947? Anybody guess? Max literacy, which region? The Travancore princely state had the max literacy of 47% by 1947. That is why Kerala today is 100% literate. Not because of post-independence era, because they had such a projection before itself. Similarly, over Mysore region. So, the painful reality is that somehow colonial era pushed us into a corner wherever colonialism was deep. For instance, in UP, Bihar, colonialism was very deep. Where the British used the zamindari system, their situation turned extremely hard. Where the zamindari system was very little, there the situation was much better. It's a pattern you can see in India across the country. Now it happened. Now we can't do much about it. So this is the reason, and post 1947, our people lost their confidence so much. Believe me that if you studied in regional languages, your education would be much better in this matter. If you start studying English. See, I studied Kannada. We studied all our history, everything intact, starting from ancient times. We never had this problem. And, we used to read about women in the past, everything. But when you read English, the whole thing changes. So this reversal has to happen. So this is a long discussion. Some other time I can explain what happened and why it happened like this. It has happened in we studied Aurobindo Ghosh in 10th standard, 50 pages. Even West Bengal people have not studied. So these things have happened in India. One answer is colonialism. I also agree that we are in a bad state right now. That I agree with your assessment that things have gotten twisted, they have been used to subdue people, all of that is 100% reality in 19th century, 20th. It's becoming better. 40, 50 years back, it was even more horrible. So we are on a path of recovery. So the only way is to ensure that education is 100% and people are having education. Absolutely nobody gets lost. But what is important is we are not studying in our mother tongue. Even if you all go back and read your Hindi resources, your knowledge about your own past will be superior. Because it is not there in English, we are all missing it out. So one solution is to go back and read Bharatiya Harishchandra. I see that today in the Hindi heartland nobody reads Bharatiya Harishchandra, which is unfortunate. The man who Hindi scholars achieved something significant till 1950. I mean, there is no parallel to what they achieved, bringing all languages into a common language. Construction of Hindi as a common language in North India in the 19th century is a phenomenal achievement due to which a whole lot of literature developed. But after 1947, reading that has diminished. So if you go back and read your Mahadevi Burma, then you will see a totally different India emerging. Because it's not there in English, because in English the British had the higher control to alter the narrative. We are in a situation today. Bring back your mother tongue and ensure that education is quickly there everywhere. It will change in no time, I can tell you. Last 30 years, if you were born in 70s, you would have seen a different India. Today you are seeing a totally different India. So we are on an upsurge, but yes, I acknowledge that things have went back, continue to be back. Another 40, 50 years is there for us to get back to where we should be.
Just a small reflection on that. I think the family is the first school that we have, and it should begin with family itself. I remember when we were kids and we went to sleep, the grandmother used to narrate us stories from the Jatak things and all. So we were born and brought up under those circumstances. Now our kids, they are using mobile phones and they are going to video games. So you cannot just make them join a college in undergraduate course and make them good learners of Indian knowledge system. Before even schooling, I mean, it should begin with the family. And I mean, the sociology of family in India, it is undergoing a serious transformation. That is why one question was asked to sir, which one particular word you would suggest to the students? I think that word, in my opinion, obviously everybody can differ, is ethics. Yeah, ethics is something that has to be there inculcated right from the childhood, right from the early times. And we are also talking about artificial AI, right? In case of AI, ethics is so important. We can use it as a method of learning. But what happens actually, you ask somebody to write an answer and they will use ChatGPT and provide the answer. So that is not learning. You will call it learning. It's not. So I think for students specifically, AI is something which is important, no doubt about that. We are living in a world where it is required. But that is not everything. Yeah. And about AI, there is a very interesting story that I have to tell. In our universities also and in research organizations, we have got the software Turnitin. And we get annual subscriptions for the Turnitin. Last year, the guy came along and he said, sir, we have got AI enabled Turnitin. So you will be able to identify anything which has been written by AI. We became very happy and we purchased it obviously. After a few days, we prepared a report and that report was compiled by my staff and I wrote the concluding paragraph just to make sure that the staff had not used the ChatGPT. I sent it for the Turnitin software. The only paragraph which it said might have been used by AI was my paragraph. So anything well written in English may be AI generated. That is what that software says. So we cannot rely on the software all the time. It may be false. So we can use it just as a tool, not as the only means of knowledge getting knowledge. No, just use it as a tool. And then the ethics part becomes very different. Thank you.
Thank you for enlightening the students all the aspects of reading and listening. And I hope they had a lot of things to do. I'll give the floor back to you.
Thank you, everyone. As we come to the close of this program, I would now like to invite Ms. Beena Arya, Assistant Professor in the Department of English and a faculty member of the Center of Indian Knowledge Systems, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Well, it was really fruitful to have you here, sir. Well, some questions remain unanswered. But I'm sure that we will take up all those questions in next session whenever we have such platform. Well, on behalf of Center for Indian Knowledge System, Shaheed Bhagat Singh College, I extend my heartful gratitude to our distinguished guest and panelist, Dr. Shiv Shankar GV. I hope that I have pronounced Shiva Kumar GV, and Dr. Avinash Kumar, who is Deputy Director at ICSSR New Delhi. Thank you very much, sir. We are also deeply honored to have our special guest for today, Ravinder Kaur, who is a professor and NEP coordinator at the University of Delhi. Thank you, ma'am. And I know that you have taken time from your busy schedule to grace this occasion. So thank you once again, ma'am. And a warm thank you to the guests from other institutions for their valuable participation. And I will not forget to express my sincere gratitude and thanks to our principal, sir, Professor Arun Kumar Atri, though he is not around because of his busy schedule. And of course, I want to thank to today's moderator for the day, Ms. Mohini Awasthi, and Tarash Thapa, who is our NEP Sarthi. A big thank you to our patient audience, though I can see that some of you have already left, but because you might have your classes today. But really, I'm thankful to you. And also, I'm really grateful and thankful to our non-teaching staff for their exceptional technical support. I can see Shubham is around. And of course, Drishti and Divyansh, they are sitting back to me, behind me. Thank you to you people for managing the event with this enthusiasm and this great energy. And last but not least, I owe this immense gratitude to our members of Center for Indian Knowledge System, teachers, students who all are the part of this center. And of course, I would definitely admit that this event would not have and could not have taken this shape without all your support. So thank you once again for your gracious presence. I think it's your turn.
Thank you, ma'am. Before we disperse, I request everyone to kindly remain seated while we assemble for a group photograph.